Hello, everybody. God, it feels so weird to do that. And welcome to the stream. I'm Robin and Andrew Jack without a C. And hey, we've got more Slay the Princess to do. I know that I said one night only. But by popular demand, we are going to finish this game off. And to answer your question, Judge, I'm keeping a checklist. We've got 6 endings so far. The Adversary, the Damsel, the Prisoner, the Spectre, the Stranger, and the Nightmare. But there's still 5 more to go. We've got a lot of work to do. So I don't really know exactly how it works. But let's go ahead and get stuff started. So naturally, as with every run, we start with chapter 1.
In the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
So I'm going to let this run on auto for a moment while we talk. I don't know exactly how these things work. Figuring out how the endings function is a big part of how this works. So my guess
don't mention
is
it's all part of the job.
There are a few different states that we got to pay attention to. The demure princess at the beginning and the aggressive princess at the beginning are 2 parts.
You'll find the princess within.
The having the knife and not having the knife is another thing. Dropping the knife and talking will lead to a few different states.
Everything in her
holding onto the knife and changing your mind will lead to a different state.
Don't believe a word she says.
Changing your mind will lead to different states in general.
She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them.
So we've got a lot
he doesn't know what he's talking
that we can do. When are you getting the baby? Oh no. So, basic idea is
the interior of the
there are all sorts of different tweets.
Bare. The air is stale and
including
musty, and the floor and walls are
some pads that aren't really part of endings, but do other
Only
things.
Furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade.
Now I've had a couple of thoughts for how we can go about this. We can go straight into killing her and then commit to not going back. And also not letting anyone tell us to kill ourselves. Which I think might be a potential ending. We can also change our mind on not killing her and then kill her. We can also bounce out of trying to kill her at one point. Some of those will wind up combining into one track at the end, but you're on the right idea. How you approach and interact with the princess in loop 1 affects how she comes across in loop 2. Yeah. Commit to definitely not a murder. So I'm going to start this stream with committing to the bit. We're going to do the deed and we're going to commit to just living with it. Living with it, not getting rid of ourselves, but just
take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it.
And I figured this way we can have this opportunity to think about how we want to go about things. And
door to the basement,
of course, Kat has been helping us kind of guide everything just in case.
By an unseen light below.
But
this is an oppressive place.
I also have a guide in the background that's
damp,
ready for us if we need it.
Filtering from the
I'm going to do my best not to touch it.
If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
Ooh,
she sounds
we got the aggressive
dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
We're just going to commit.
You're still listening to reason.
We're just going to go right in. I know this is the aggressive one.
Walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a
Let
heavy
the
chain
narrator go
around
off.
her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
That's not up
Focus
for
on
us
the
to know.
task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
steel your nerves and step forward.
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
Oh? No talking then? Fine. What even makes you
Just
think
puff
you
up your
can
chest,
kill me?
tighten your belt, stomp down those stairs, look at the princess right in the eyes and tell her, do not
I'm probably
kill
chained
me.
up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
Do you hear the conviction in her voice? Do you see the razor sharpness in her gaze? I don't think she's bluffing. She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this.
Slay the princess.
You lunge forward without a moment's hesitation. You feel flesh easily give way and look down to see your blade already sinking deep into her heart.
Oh, this is it, isn't it? I'm almost embarrassed. I should have seen that coming. But I have to wonder, do you actually believe this was enough to kill me?
There it is again. That razor-sharp look in her eyes and the terrifying conviction in her words. Yes, even as she lays there dying, she entirely believes herself to be alive and well. But it's over, isn't it? She stopped breathing moments ago, that arrogant look still plastered on her face. But is it over? Really over?
Sure. Of course it is. She's dead.
Yes, exactly. It's over. With your work done, you make your way back up the stairs, closing the door to the basement behind you. Why do I feel like we've done something terrible?
Because we've done something terrible.
You did kill someone. Greater good or not, something would be very wrong with you if you didn't feel at least a little bad. But it was for the greater good. One of these days that will sink in and help ease your guilty conscience. But that day isn't today. Let's just get out of here.
And we open the door and
You
find
open the
ourselves
cabin
staring
door, ready
at
to return to a world saved from certain doom.
nothing.
Only, a world saved from certain doom isn't what you find. Instead, what you find is nothing at all. Where a lush forest stood mere minutes ago, the only thing in front of you now is the vast emptiness of space. What happened? Everyone is fine. It's just that you and the cabin are now far away from them. Don't worry. You'll be safe here. This is good. Everyone is happy. You'll be happy.
Oh, okay.
I'm so glad you're keeping an open mind. This is what's best for everyone. Trust me. Time passes. You can't be sure if it's days or months or years or even decades. It's all a wonderful, boring.
Fill my murderers with confusion and
I've
paranoia.
never been happier.
So I've got to admit, if I ever have the chance to utter some last words, something like what she just said would be rad.
Psst. Hey, we're not just gonna stay here forever, right?
Didn't you hear the narrator? I'm happy. We're happy.
Are we really happy? Or is he just telling us that we are?
Nope, we're happy. I'm sure of it.
Really? Well, if you ever change your mind, just let me know, I guess. More happy time passes, though the word begins to lose its meaning. Time, that is, not happy. Happy still has plenty of meaning. Please, shake yourself out of it. We have to get out of here. The little voices' pleas fall on deaf ears. Eventually you pass into a blissful state of pure existence. Though words like eventually and pass ceased to have any meaning to you long before that shift, you simply exist. Happy. Forever.
Good ending! You did it! You saved everyone! Hey! Look at that! We did great. I'm sorry, I'm just cracking up at this. Oh my god. I love this game. I'm just kind of enjoying the side of this. Like, that's great. Oh. Okay, so that wasn't one of the princesses. That was just one of the endings.
You're on a path in the woods.
So let's skip. Let's see. So how do we want to go about these next routes? Now, so far we've done the adversary, which was, hi Nepicros. It's a good ending, huh? Yeah. Oh, it was really good. So the ones we've done are the adversary, which, I think that was when she's like aggressive, we talk to her, but we don't drop the blade, and then eventually kill her. We did the Spectre, which is a lot like the ending we just got, but we went back. We decided we weren't happy, we wanted to figure things out. We did the Nightmare, where we tried to fight her and then left and locked her away as best we could. And we've gotten the Stranger, which is just walking away, period. Starting from the very beginning and just leaving. We've gotten the Damsel, where we try to free the princess when we don't take the knife, and we've tried to do the Prisoner, where we take the knife, but we free her. I have so many inappropriate jokes about the Nightmare. So we're going to move forward. Adversary was giving as good as we got in terms of fighting, and she was pretty great.
You'll find the princess within. A warning before you go any further.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just skip. Boop. Proceed into the cabin. Let's see.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade.
So, maybe one of the endings. I think we have 5. We have 6 so far, and there are either 10 or 11 princesses. I think.
The blade.
I can't. There are 10 routes. Go 4 left. Okay, 10 routes, 1 ending. Okay, and we got 1 ending, so that's technically 1 of the 5 we're doing. In which case, I gotta go and edit my text file, huh? Shoot. Wait. Technically, we'll just count it as an ending. There we go. That'll be fine. She's adapting to what we want, but also kind of not, because she's also sometimes adapting to other things. Here's a question. Have we actually checked her body? We haven't checked her body after we killed her. That was one of the options I haven't picked. Let's do that.
You take the
Let's see what
blade
happens
from the table.
So we're going to move forward. We're going to
Door to the basement.
barrel forward.
Good.
Continue down the
You're
stairs.
still listening to reason.
And steal. Like we're just gonna barrel right through. Slay the princess.
You lunge forward without a moment's hesitation.
Cut right as he said body, so it sounded like chick or butt. I mean,
You feel flesh easily give way.
I think we got to double tap. I'm not sure. I feel like she has to have some kind of trick up her sleeve.
It's over. You could check her sleeves if you want, but I can assure you that there's nothing hidden up there. We should make sure. What's the harm in checking for a pulse? I really don't think you should do that. And why shouldn't we? Is there something you're not telling us? I've told you everything that's happened with complete accuracy. The princess is dead. Your blade pierced her heart. There's no coming back from that.
Sure. Let's check for a pulse.
You lean down and place your hand against her neck, holding your breath as you search for a pulse, even though you know you're not going to find one. We definitely won't if you keep talking. I'm sorry, do you want her to be alive? You just saved the entire world from annihilation. Why are you suddenly trying to call that into question? Wait, what was that? You know what that was. That was the sound of a heartbeat, followed by another, and another.
And the narrator sounds confused.
I guess I won't be dying alone after all.
Oh,
Something sharp digs into your side, the shock of it sending your nerves into a pained frenzy. Quick, let's get out of here.
oh.
It's too late for that now. You collapse to the ground as the mortally wounded princess twists a blade of her own deeper between your ribs.
Gotta love shark teeth.
As you fall, she falls with you, exhausted by the effort, the little life that was left in her eyes fading rapidly.
I think Nepikos has a thing. And you know what? You're in the right place. Welcome.
An eye for an eye. A life for a life. I guess we're even now. See you around.
You were so close. Why did you hesitate? It doesn't matter. At least you managed to take her with you. Whatever that's worth. Everything goes dark, and you die.
Die at least 6 times across all playthroughs. So many achievements. Chapter 2. The Razor.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Uh-huh. So, I think there's also something to do here, but we gotta go say hi, right?
A warning before you go any further.
Uh-huh.
She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her.
You don't say.
Don't believe a word she says.
Uh-huh.
No, we can't go in there. Do either of you feel sick? Because I feel sick just thinking about that place. We're going to die again, and I bet it's going to hurt.
Oh, it's really gonna hurt, baby.
It's good to be careful, but you're really not helping with all that talk about death and dying. Agreed. Just ignore that clown and stay focused.
A clown? Hey. That's very rude. Sometimes you just love a lady who can rend your flesh with 0 effort because she can rend your flesh with 0
is
effort.
a jagged mess of
Oh.
warped wood and broken boards, their splintered edges as uninviting as shattered glass. The only furniture of note is a pointed table with a pristine blade perched on its edge.
Huh. So, this is what a realtor would say is a cabin that has character.
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
Ha!
You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
But we're not
Okay.
done yet.
Okay. Holding it feels a little better. Maybe we can make it through this.
Good bones, you say?
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime.
Oh, God. You just had to bring up Melina Crow.
You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. But there was a mirror a second ago. And now it's gone. For the love of everything, can we just get this over with already? All this waiting is killing me.
Oh, trust me. There'll be plenty that will kill us.
The door to the basement creaks open.
This is just made of
revealing what must
toothpicks.
once have been stairs. The fractured slats look as if they've been torn from their source and violently jammed into the wall.
Oh, fun.
The air seeping up from below has an almost metallic quality to it, like the smell of fresh blood. And you can hear what sounds like the rhythmic scraping of metal coming from down below. If the princess lives here,
Slaying her would probably be doing her a favor.
Scraping? She's not even trying to hide her knife. That sound could be anything. It's probably just her chains dragging across the floor. I am begging you to get out of your head.
Listen, I have been begging all of you to get out of my head.
Her grating voice carries up the stairs.
I hope you've come to rescue me. I've been stuck down here forever.
There's something wrong with that voice. I can hear her bloodlust.
No kid?
As you descend the final step, the form of the princess comes into view, her sharp eyes following you from across the room.
Finally, somebody, quick, get me out of these chains. We're not safe here.
We're not falling for it. She's tricking us. Can't you hear that threatening edge to her voice? She just wants us to get close, to let our guard down. Then it'll all happen again.
Oh, don't worry, flinching voice. We have had this happen so many times to us before.
If she sounds threatening, it's because her mask is already slipping. She knows why you're here. You are armed, after all.
What are you waiting for? You are here to rescue me, right?
Oh. Hot diggity shit. Smash or pass. Oh, actually, Nepicros. Fun fact. Once we're done with all the endings, we will be doing a tier maker of all the princesses and all the voices. So don't worry. We're good. Oh, God. Yeah. I want to thank Kat Lutaphasia for sending me a tier maker for this purpose. So we have plenty to play with today. All right, so that is the razor.
You're on
So
a
much
path
stuff.
in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
So, what else can we do?
You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the
God,
end of the world.
So much that, Okay, so I think there are ways to... I think by this point, all we can do is betray her, right? So we're going to move forward. It is
You make your way up
it's a
the short
combination.
path
So
of
we'll
the
do
cabin.
them separately, but as
Find
one
the
tier maker.
princess within. A warning before you go any further.
Uh-huh.
She will lie, she will
She will
cheat, and
She will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Oh yeah, I know.
Don't believe a word she says.
Oh,
We're not
trust
gonna
me.
go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them.
Oh God, have we really
Ignore
just
him.
not
He doesn't know
done?
what he's talking about.
I mean, I guess technically we've done one. Nightmare technically counts, right? Because you talk to her and you decide, you know what, I'm keeping you locked down here.
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare.
But I don't know.
The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer
Notice that
of
the
dust.
princesses seem to come in pairs
only
based on
furniture
some
of
theme or
note
underlying
is a
course of
plain
event.
wooden
Ooh.
table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
I think we're going to go without for now. We're going to talk to her. We're going to see
The door to
what's
the
up.
basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor.
Ooh. Yeah, it seems like there are a lot of different ways you can go. And I think the pairing could be coincidental, could be... Because, like, the way it's set up is that there are a whole bunch of different specific gates that you have to pass.
Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
It's like, how to put it? There's this narrative design theory that was popularized by BioWare, where you have a whole bunch of options that then pinch into a single event, sort of like an act ender. And all of your decisions will reflect like how things change for the ending. But each, like, everything can go a whole bunch of different ways, and then it will go to the same beat. Yeah, dating sim gates, exactly. And so each choice matters, but they all lead to the same rhythm. So it could be coincidental, it could be very purposeful, Nepicros. It could be a design that, like, these elements do pair up very explicitly. And actually, I would assume, judging by the design of this game, is that, yeah, maybe there's some purpose behind how they're set up.
Hello? Is someone there?
Yeah, whether you take the knife or whether you don't, you still get to betray her in all the same ways. And because we didn't take the knife, that was our first big decision, we get the Demure Princess.
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed.
Don't be a stranger.
We'll just say hi.
It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Please, come downstairs.
I also think it's really interesting. I won't get too deep into this. I think it's really interesting how, like, it was kind of mentioned, but this game just keeps responding to your choices as if reality is sort of folding in on itself. It's not like a lot of other narrative adventures where, you know, things will change in the world, but your perception of reality and how reality is presented to you doesn't typically change the way it does in this game.
You walk down the
Very
stairs.
much a chicken
and
or
lock
egg
eyes with the princess.
design thought.
There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone? I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. Do you think you can get me out of these chains?
Hold on. Let's talk a bit first.
Okay.
What's your name?
Oh,
Does arm wrestling count as holding hands?
She pauses, carefully formulating her words before she responds.
you can address me as Your Royal Highness. Or you can just call me Princess if Your Royal Highness is too formal.
Is Princess her name or her title? What if it's both? Could you imagine being named Princess Princess?
It'd be pretty funny. So is Princess your name?
Like I said, you can call me Princess if you'd like.
If I'd like. So that's a no.
I'm sorry, I've been down here so long I guess I've just forgotten. I must have a name though. Everyone has a name.
And that's why Stallone's over the top still banned in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, that's weird. She hadn't even thought to pick a name for herself. Hopefully you're starting to see that she can't be trusted. Go back upstairs, get the blade, and slay her before it's too late.
Very rude. So, how do we want to do this? Do we want to keep asking questions, or... Oh, this is kind of difficult because I'm trying to wrap my head around how it would work. So maybe... Let's start here.
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you, and you won't. I promise.
You're making a huge mistake. No, you're doing the right thing.
Am I?
You
Who
walk up
knows?
to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large.
Can't betray someone if they don't
far
trust
too
you.
solid for you to even imagine trying. to
True,
break
she doesn't have a choice.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I'm gonna check upstairs. Maybe the key's still lying around somewhere up there, and if not, maybe I can at least find something to break you free.
Okay. I'll be here. Good luck.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement,
Oh.
but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here?
Huh. Well,
You try the door, but it's locked from the outside.
so we can't pick up the knife once we're down here. Okay.
You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to.
So if I had gone back upstairs without saying a word, the narrator might... Well, we don't know if it's the
Easier for
narrator
whom?
stopping us, but...
Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth,
God.
her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf. As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind her.
Oh, that's one way to
The
do it.
clang of bouncing metal. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her. You won't like what happens if you do that.
Well, here's a way to betray her. Not fun, but... Oh,
Without hesitation, bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally. The wound drives her to the ground. Okay, there's no going back now. I'm with you to the end.
heroes or ride or
You
die.
bastard. Were you lying to me this whole time?
I kind of... I'm
The
sorry.
princess pushes away from you, the motion ripping the blade from her back.
Ouch.
Wounded, but still alive, she crouches on all fours in the corner of the room and meets your eyes with the ferocity of a cornered predator.
You've made a terrible enemy, and there's nothing in the world that can possibly save you from me.
You know, I don't doubt that for a second.
Do you hear the conviction in her voice? Do you see that razor sharpness in her gaze? I don't think she's bluffing. I thought we had the upper hand, but it's as if she's barely even threatened by us. It's an act. She's wounded and unarmed. There's nothing she can do to hurt you. I'm not so sure. Don't waver now.
I've been through this. We know she can
As you ready
totally...
your blades to deliver a lethal blow, she lunges at your legs with the same animal ferocity she used to tear at her arm.
The claws.
Your knife cuts into her again and again as you're tackled to the ground, your body racked with pain as she rips into you with tooth and claw. Forget about trying to rescue her. This is about survival now. Give her everything you've got.
Slay the
Though your
princess.
nerves are seizing with pain, you know you've done your fair share of damage as well, your blade having left deep gashes in the princess's back. You seize a moment of hesitation to throw her off of you and shakily push yourself back to your knees. We can still turn this around.
Oh. I guess we have no choice but to finish the job at this point.
You steel your resolve and take another step closer to the princess. You probably won't make it out of here alive, but you can still make sure that she won't make it out of here either. Excuse me? What's this about not making it out of here alive? Do you think this is what I wanted to happen? I have a duty to state the facts of the situation, and honestly, it's a miracle anyone in this room is still standing right now. Don't act so surprised. Can you not feel all those gashes and holes pulling you apart? If the princess doesn't do you in here, blood loss is certain to finish the job. You take another step forward, and the princess lunges towards you. The two of you enter one last exchange, a flurry of blade and claw and fleshy ribbons. And then you stop. Neither you nor Princess able to go any further. You collapse on the ground, and the Princess collapses beside you. Blood pools around you both, and you watch each other fade away.
Double KO!
After all this time alone, I thought I'd finally found a friend, but you were just another monster, weren't you?
Silence as the room starts to get fuzzy around you. You've paid a terrible price, but you've saved us all. It's over.
If you think this is it, you're sorely mistaken. One way or another, I'll make sure you pay for this.
There it is again. That razor-sharp look in her eyes and that terrifying conviction in her words. But you don't have the time left to worry about such things. Everything goes black, and you die.
Damn. God, I'm figuring out more and more gates here. The witch.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
But okay. So, we're just gonna proceed. Because of course we are.
A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says.
The hero,
Don't
the witch, and the
worry.
game facts.
You can trust us to get the job done.
Game facts hates indie games, though. Game facts hates a lot of games, actually.
The interior of the cabin is a mess of twisted roots. The walls
love
a chaotic weave of knotted wood that, almost as if by accident, just happened to resemble a room. The floor is damp and earthy, and the only furniture of note is a slab of mud in the shape of a shelf, with a pristine blade perched on its edge.
Ah, it is a new mirror, isn't it?
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
You gotta do the mirror check.
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime.
And then we wipe
You
and
reach
chop.
forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. You take the blade from the shelf. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon. Well, if we're grabbing a weapon, we should probably keep it hidden behind our backs. She doesn't have to know we have it. That's not actually a bad idea.
I mean, the opportunist is named that for a reason, so...
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase dug into the muddy earth below. The ceiling is thick with roots that hang like locks of tangled hair.
Hot.
The weak starlight from the cabin windows behind you can barely penetrate the gloom here, only illuminating the edges of an opening below. It shines in the darkness like some kind of massive maw waiting to swallow you up. into the earth.
Don't say swallow in this
The
context.
air smells of dirt and copper. It's thick and wet, as if your lungs are being coated in mud with each intake of breath. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. Her voice skitters up from below.
Something nasty finds itself on my stairs. Come on down. Don't be scared. I probably won't bite.
I love that, probably. I'm not nasty. You know what?
But
Yeah.
you are. You're a wretched little thing. I recognize that voice as easily as I recognized your nervous little footsteps coming up the path. I know who you are, and I remember what you've done.
She must have you confused with someone else.
Uh-huh.
She seems friendly enough. Maybe we can talk our way out of this whole situation. You can't. Unless you slay her right away, she's going to break free and end the world. There's no reasoning with what she is. Look, I'm just throwing ideas out there. I like to think out loud. I'm the kind of guy who likes a discussion. Don't we want to hear what everyone has to say before making any big decisions?
I don't want to hear what the narrator has to say.
Do you want to hear what everyone has to say? Or do you just want to hear yourself talk?
Oh, that's also a possibility.
You need to stop lingering. Your task is to slay the princess, not endlessly debate about what to do with the princess. Fine. You're the boss.
The opportunist is fun.
Thank
Oh.
you. You descend the basement steps, entering the dark room below. A fire crackles in the center of the room, casting unsettling shadows across the dirt walls. The princess crouches on the other side.
If I'd have known this was waiting for me, maybe I would have made them. I would have dressed better.
And there you are. One hand tucked away behind your back, gripping that sharp, sharp blade, no doubt.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's no fair. How would she know that?
So, we've dropped the pretenses. Good.
Kitty. Hot diggity. That's 9 now, right? Hot. Oh, 9. Almost put 98. Whoops. Oh, God. We're almost there. Oh, dang. Yeah, exactly. That little... Yeah. That's pretty up there. Okay, so...
You're on a path. You're here.
we're gonna proceed forward.
You make your way
We're
up.
gonna skip and we're just gonna hop on in. And you know what? I think we're gonna grab the knife,
The interior of the cabin is almost entirely
pretend
bare.
to... God, I don't know. Maybe... Okay, let's take a second to break down how these work. Because we've got take the knife or don't. That's the first choice. The second choice is hold the knife or don't. And then talk or don't. Then rescue or betray. And then we have a couple of options after that where I think we either change your mind or commit. Those are like the 5 big choices, right? What happens if the narrator makes us kill her? Like, we misclick in that huge list of slay the princess or resist. Yeah, that's a good question. God, we only have... I do believe we need the knife for the last 2. We definitely need the knife for something. I know people were talking about the tower for the last one, but maybe we can figure out the one more before we do the tower. one choice in the fighting bits that we haven't picked yet. Yeah, I think let's try this. Let's take the knife, start the fight. Like, take the knife, talk it out, hold on to the knife, talk it out, pretend we help her, be an opportunist and attack her, and then give up in the middle of the fight. And try to run away. I think that's one we haven't taken. We can also try and betray her after she's freed. Yeah. Whew. It's one of the same endings we already got. We shouldn't do that, though. That fight scene just stuck in my head since Thursday night. That's very fair. Either way, we're going to take the knife. I think no matter what,
Take the blade from the table.
that's what we're going to be doing.
It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor.
Yeah, I think let's try Kat's suggestion of betraying her after she's freed.
Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here.
Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
So we're gonna... Let's try to be
Still
stalwart
listening to
for a
reason.
second. We'll give her a chance to talk, of course.
Walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world?
Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something?
Let's see. I haven't decided yet.
How about you drop the knife and the two of us just talk?
Look how reasonable she's being. We should just drop the blade and talk things out. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster. Killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us.
Do we still get the opportunity to tighten our grip? Yeah, let's do that.
You ignore the trembling in your hands and tighten your grip on the blade.
You poor thing. Your hands are shaking. Are you scared of me? Because you should be.
Yeah, the second chain was half its length missing. There have been times where we've seen 4 chains. 3 of them connected to her, but 1 of them is missing. There is always a missing chain.
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel your resolve.
I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
Do you hear the conviction in her voice? Do you see the razor sharpness in her gaze? I don't think she's bluffing. She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this.
I'm not dropping the blade.
Then I'm not talking to you.
Squint at the princess while holding onto the blade.
You stare at the princess, squinting. She squints back.
We're making some
Two of you
decisions.
are going to do this forever, aren't you?
Squint at the princess even harder.
You squint even harder. So does she. At least nobody's dying right now. You're going to have to make a choice. You can't keep squinting forever. Eventually, someone is going to have to blink.
You don't know that. Maybe I don't have eyelids. You don't know. I could have that secondary set that's transparent. The Bramble Tiara. Yeah, that one's a really good one. Okay, if we want to betray her, we have to drop the blade.
The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you. Maybe now we can just talk.
The goose. Okay, why did Automod decide the goose was something to moderate? Yeah, links are enabled. So you're good.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed.
We'll be fine.
You don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
Oh dear. I decided to take a peek and... Yep. I'm gonna hold on to that for this route, but that's really good.
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship.
All right. You know, we're gonna just ask a couple of questions.
Do you?
You're apparently going to end the world.
Don't just tell her that.
Why not?
That's cute. Do you believe that? Do you think I'm some sort of monster? If I'm supposed to be capable of ending the world, then how did I wind up here, chained to a wall? Have they told you why I'm allegedly so dangerous?
You're on a path in the woods, and you are a horrible goose. No, and if I'm being honest, I'm more inclined... No, wait, no. I'm sure they have their reasons for keeping that information secret from me.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
What if they're bad reasons, though? If they had good reasons for thinking I was dangerous, wouldn't they have shared them with you? I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to leave. At the end of the day, whatever the two of us have going on down here is about trust. Whoever sent you to slay me claimed I was a threat to the world, but they didn't tell you why. That doesn't sound right to me. And I don't think it sounds right to you either. Otherwise, we'd be killing each other instead of talking.
She has a point. There's a reason I've been telling you to question the situation, and there's a reason you've listened.
So, I could tell you that I'd lead a quiet life in the woods, or that I'd open an orphanage, or that I'd do any other number of good things that I'm sure you think you want to hear. But you don't really know me, do you? What can my word possibly be worth in a situation like this?
She's right about one thing. Her word isn't worth anything.
Like I said, it's all about trust. Blind trust. So do you trust me, the prisoner, the victim, the princess clearly incapable of ending the world? Or do you trust whoever put me here?
I mean, the way you phrase that makes me less
She's wrong.
trustful.
This isn't about trust. This is about risk. We stand to lose everything, all for the sake of one person, and a subjugating monarch, no less.
I mean... Okay, we've talked enough.
Oh, have you decided what to do with me?
Yeah.
You know why you're here.
So, we're going to betray, so we're going to start by... I'm getting you out of here.
Oh, you have to be kidding me.
Regicide
You
is
walk up
pretty
to
cool.
the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key.
Why
Maybe
would
it's
somebody
somewhere
hand me a key?
upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
And if there isn't a key, do you have any ideas?
Well, you do have that big, sharp knife. You could always cut me out of here.
She speaks with almost complete nonchalance.
It's a shame we're such a trustworthy person who won't get to
We
see
were stuck down here
Regicide.
for long enough. I'm sure we'd be nonchalant about cutting our way out. Anything to finally be free. You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here?
Well, door's locked.
You make your way back to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd simply slain her like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone.
Oh no, trapped in the basement with a beautiful princess. How awful. She could kill us all sorts of different ways and stomp on us and make us bleed and all sorts of things. Just so awful in a little dungeon where we get somebody just
I
for
heard the
ruining
door
us.
slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
Just terrible.
The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do that.
You don't know that. So, I think... Let's try... Let's start with this. Let's start with saving her.
Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the princess's arm, just above the massive, unyielding chain. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and you
Oh,
make
that's
quick
different.
work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the bleeding stub of her arm through the iron gauntlet. She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you, her fierce gaze meeting your eye. How is she so composed after losing an arm? It's like she isn't even bothered by it.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world.
You're gonna eat that?
I just can't. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me.
Betray.
You bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally. Okay. There's no going back now. Though the blade left a deep gash in her shoulder, she barely so much as flinches,
Well, that didn't
turning
work.
around to stare at you incredulously.
Are you serious?
A little bit.
I don't know what came over you, but if we're doing this, I guess I'll have to kill you. Do you think I need both of my arms to do that? I can beat you to death with one,
We haven't seen this before.
but I don't have to tell you that. I'll go ahead and show you.
Do you hear the conviction in her voice? Do you see that razor sharpness in her gaze? I don't think she's bluffing.
I don't think we need to pay attention to her voice to know that she's not bluffing. Run away.
As the blade falls from your trembling hands, the princess rears back, readying a bone-shattering haymaker. You fall to your knees, barely able to process the ringing in your ears before she hits you again. Every blow is as punishing
Oh
as the
god.
first. You feel bones shatter with every impact, unknown ruptures blossoming with blood somewhere inside of you. If we're lucky, the wound you manage to inflict will be enough to at least delay her escape from this place. If we're very lucky, it will kill her before she gets out.
Oh, too weak to even try fighting back. How disappointing.
I mean,
She places a confident
Uh-oh.
heel on your chest and pushes you down to the ground. Her knee falls to your throat, your windpipe crushed beneath a weight you didn't think her slight form could possibly possess. It can't just end like this, right? I'm sorry, but it's over. Everything goes dark, and you die.
blood's on the inside. Where it's supposed to be. Hey, the tower.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Okay. Okay, no.
Oh don't you start grandstanding about
Okay, we've seen this
the
before.
fate of the world is at risk right now, and the life of a mere princess shouldn't stop you from saving us all.
And yet,
If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way.
I got one good hit in.
You know I can hear you.
I cut off her
right?
arm and then
It's going to
stabbed
be
her in
a
the
lot
back.
harder than you think to keep secrets from me. What does it matter what he knows? There's nothing we can do to stop her. She's just going to kill us again. She is not going to kill you unless you let her. But slaying the princess and saving the world is going to be much more difficult than it has to be if you spend the whole time second-guessing yourself.
And let's just move on.
Warning, before you go any further.
What's up?
She will lie.
Yeah, I know.
We might as well just pledge ourselves to her and stop pretending we're capable of doing anything in this situation. She probably doesn't even need to try to overpower us.
Okay.
Can we tone down the pessimism just a smidge? I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just being realistic. You're being annoying. Just ignore their bickering, and whatever you do, don't pledge yourself to her. I cannot stress enough how absolutely catastrophic that would be for everyone, yourself included. I agree. If she's wrongfully imprisoned, then we should rescue her, but if he's telling the truth, we shouldn't just hand her the world on a silver platter.
Voice of the bottom. Derogatory.
Rescue her? Given the stakes of the situation, there isn't really a difference between rescuing her and pledging yourself to her. Either would be terrible. So please try to ignore both of those knuckleheads and focus on saving the world. Let's not make this harder than it has to be. If that's what you want, I guess I don't have a say here.
The hero gets very sassy in these betrayal scenarios. The hero is very interesting in that regard. I can never quite predict how he's going to go.
The interior of the
Ooh.
cabin is larger and more grandiose than its humble exterior would suggest. The only furniture of note is a massive marble altar with a pristine blade perched on its edge.
Well, that's interesting.
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
This is the first time where the
Why do we
room
feel
really
so
just feels.
Small.
Thank you,
We don't feel small. We are small.
dude.
That's because there isn't a mirror. There's the altar, the blade sitting on the altar,
But just
and the
a
door
little
to the basement.
guy.
There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. Who cares if there's a mirror? We're all going to die anyway. And I'm sure that if we looked in there, we'd just see something sad and miserable looking back at us. We don't need any reminders of what we are. It would only make things worse. For the last time, you're not going to die unless you let it happen. And luckily for you, there isn't a mirror, so no one needs to worry about confronting a grisly visage any time in the near future. Though, for what it's worth, if there were a mirror, I'm sure that you wouldn't find anything sad or miserable in it looking back at you. You probably look perfectly normal.
You don't know that.
Probably. Do you not know what we look like? He knows. He just doesn't have the heart to tell us.
I want to look at myself. I want to see how handsome I am.
Please don't. I'd rather the princess kill us again than see how dreadful we are. I care less about what we look like and more about whether we're being lied to. If he's willing to lie about something as innocuous as a mirror, what else is he hiding from us? I'm not lying to you. Use your eyes. There is no mirror. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would it even do?
Approach the mirror. We gotta look at all the
Walk
mirror
up to the wall next to the
commentary.
basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. We should count ourselves lucky. Some things are better left unseen.
My good dude. Let's just enter. Yeah, let's take it.
You take the blade from the altar. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
There's a pipe organ in this path. Who do you think is playing it?
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a spiral staircase.
Hi, Malik.
Its steps almost as deep as you are tall.
Oh.
The smell of incense drifts up from below. For a moment, you almost feel at ease.
Nice.
Huh. This is actually kind of nice. It's still a stone basement. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her booming voice rolls up the stairs.
Is that a guest I hear? Don't linger on the stairs. Come down and witness me.
Witness
You weren't
me!
kidding when you said it was booming. She wasn't like this last time. We need to get down there. She wants us to see her. We need to see her.
My dude.
Should we be worried about your sudden change in attitude? Just a few minutes ago, you were going on about how pointless everything was. Now you want to go down there. It doesn't matter what that little voice says. He's not the one making the decisions. Though if his ramblings get you to the princess, they get you to the princess.
All right. Let's see
Making
what we
your
got.
way down the spiral staircase is a time-consuming and exhausting effort, every step requiring you to clamber over one edge before dropping to the next. But soon the end comes into view, and you tumble to the bottom, entering the vast, temple-like room beyond. The princess towers over you, almost glowing in the weak starlight, her figure framed by a stained glass window. Her long hair billows around her, and a chain binds her wrist to the far wall.
Well, geez. Yeah, sending his entire paycheck to her OnlyFans. Oh, this is definitely the most godlike.
That isn't what she looked like last time. The chain is nothing to her. It might as well be a toy for all the good it would do. I told you it was pointless to resist her.
The little bird has returned to me. I wonder what he wants.
The little bird? Interesting.
You brought that knife again, even though you know it's useless. Such charming audacity.
She knows you're a bird,
Drop it.
Robin. Skedaddle! Fuck it. We're gonna die anyway.
As if on command, the blade slips from your grasp.
Never
and
mind.
clatters uselessly to the floor. But we didn't drop it. We decided to grip it tighter, remember? Are you really just going to let that happen to us? I have a duty to report facts as facts, and the fact is that you dropped the blade. Of course we dropped it. She's so much more than us. You wouldn't understand what it feels like to be in her presence.
We're in her presence right now.
Oh, I understand what's going on, and you'd better snap yourself out of it.
Kneel.
Oh, well, okay. No.
Oh, are you still trying to defy me? I said kneel.
Your legs buckle, and your knees hit the floor.
Well, looks like we're kneeling.
That's my good little bird. Now, why don't we talk?
Nepicros, I think we are whatever she wants us to be. The tower. Hot diggity. Oh, look at that. We're doing so great. Oh my god. So we only got one more. Oh, what else can we do? Okay, so we did all that, right? Let me think. So that ending was one that we hadn't got before. The route itself was one we hadn't gotten before. We took the knife with us, and we decided to betray her. If we do the same thing, but we don't take the knife downstairs at first, would we get the last ending? So basically, exact same thing, except we go down into the basement empty-handed. Let's try it.
You're here to slay her.
So we're just gonna go straight in.
You make a warning.
We're gonna skip. We're gonna proceed right in. We're going to. This is going to be like maybe the
Interior
fastest
blade
one, and
is
I'm
your
trying my best. Hi, Marnie. Oh, I thought Marnie was grabbing me with her paw, but no, she was just
The daughter
kicking me with her back
voice.
foot.
Hello?
I'm gonna continue down the stairs.
You're still listening to reason. It would be better if you had a weapon, but you may still be able to do what needs to be done.
Look, when your nickname is Crow and she says, "There's my good little bird," you might have some complex feelings. Understandable. Certified expert in monster fuckery. Hey, listen.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement.
She's beautiful.
Okay.
How could someone like this be a threat to anyone?
Still trying to think
I
about
am
how this should
begging
work.
you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi.
It's
Do you
gotta be a
think you can get me
betrayal.
out of these chains?
I'll see what I can do.
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're making a huge mistake.
You don't know that.
No, you're doing the right thing. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Nope.
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I'm gonna check upstairs. Maybe the key's still lying around somewhere up there, and if not, maybe I can at least find something to break you free.
Okay. I'll be here. Good luck.
Okay.
You
so
attempt
head
to make your
upstairs.
way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs
Locked.
slams.
Somebody. I'm not saying it was him. Somebody locks us
You
down
make
here.
your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
Jack clearly heard my silent simping from across the flat.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
Yep.
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
Hi,
If I
Jack.
could just get
I
out of
hope
these
you're being
chains,
good.
I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf. As she rips her flesh from her bone,
Okay,
a sound comes
that's
from
our
behind
opportunity.
you, the clang of bouncing metal. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her. You won't like what happens if you do that.
So let's try it.
Without hesitation, you bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally, the wound drives her to the ground.
Oh,
Okay, there's no going back now. I'm with you to the end.
You bastard. Were you lying to me this whole time?
The princess pushes away from you, the motion ripping the blade from her back.
so this is all pretty
Wounded,
familiar.
but still alive, she crouches on all fours in the corner of the room and
Ooh.
meets your eyes with the ferocity of a cornered predator.
You've made a terrible enemy.
We have
You
seen
hear the conviction
this.
in her voice. It's an act. I'm not so sure. Don't waver now. As you ready your
Quick
blade
saving
to
here
deliver
for good
a
measure?
lethal
Yeah,
blow,
let's do it.
She lunges at your legs with the same animal ferocity. Your knife cuts into her again and again as you're tackled to the ground. Your body forget about. Though your nerves are
Maybe there's
seizing
a
with pain,
chance.
You know you've done your fair share of damage as well. Your blade having left deep.
So we're gonna
gashes.
push
You seize
through a
moment
little
of
bit.
hesitation to throw her. We can still turn.
Okay, we've been here. We have been exactly at this point. So, run away.
The princess is still chained to the wall. There's nothing she can do to stop you from getting out of here. What if she doesn't succumb to her wounds? Whatever she is so much more dangerous than I thought she'd be. You rush up the stairs and dive past the threshold. You're safe. For now. You close the basement door, locking it behind you and quickly barricading
This
it
is very
with the heavy
similar to
wooden
the
table
nightmare
that
I
once held the blade. Okay, we can make this work. She has an awful wound and we have all the time in the world. Playing jailkeeper for a while might make things a little easier. You settle in against the far wall to watch the basement door. It isn't long before you start to drift off, your eyelids heavy with fatigue. But sleep doesn't come. Instead, your rest is broken by a piercing, wailing voice calling out to you from the other side of the door.
I know you're still there. Why don't you make things easier on yourself and let me out?
If this doesn't wind up working, I have something we can do on our Chapter 2 run.
It's not like this little door will hold for very long anyways. It's probably a good idea to try to get back on my good side.
She sounds terrifying. Like she's less of the princess you saw and more like something out of a nightmare. As she violently rattles the door, you do your best to shut her out of your mind.
When I get out of here, I'm going to pick you apart piece by piece. I won't forget what you did, and I'll never forgive it. You don't know the kind of enemy you've made tonight.
It doesn't sound like she's getting any weaker. No, it doesn't.
That feel when no sleep paralysis demon GF. Whatever you are, you're not a princess. Go ahead and waste your energy. I'll be waiting for you.
Be so sure about outlasting me. You're so brittle. So go ahead, rest, do whatever you think will help you be prepared. But know that I'm coming for you, and that when I find you, I will make you hurt.
You put the princess's threats out of your mind as best you can and huddle up against the wall.
Now, when we did this before,
You jolt awake in the middle of the night to silence in the cabin.
we had the
Lights
aggressive
stopped.
princess at the start.
The door to the basement is ajar, its lock broken, and the table shoved out of the way. Where is she?
Thanks for helping me get
Ooh.
out of that awful basement.
Thank you for subscribing, Locke.
You try and stumble to your
Okay,
feet.
we've definitely
As
got
the
this one.
princess draws near, it's as though your body simply stops working. It isn't all at once. The paralysis comes in waves. Whose
We
side are you?
have
Yours, of
seen
course.
this.
So,
So,
She steps close.
I'm going
Your
to
lungs.
skip forward
Say
because,
better
oh
next
my god,
time.
we are going to
So
die.
everything goes dark.
Let's see what this... We got the nightmare. Okay. So,
You're on a path in the woods.
we only need one functional organ for this. Come at us, ma'am! So, we're going to turn around and leave.
I was worried you might fall for a shit again, but this is good.
Paranoid.
Whatever
Welcome back.
answers there are to be found, they aren't here, and they definitely aren't there. Seriously?
And we have
You're just
played
going to
through
turn
most
around
of these
and
endings
leave? Do you even know where you're going?
all the way through in the other episode, but... oh god. God. Let's see. We are not... Nope. Just leaving.
Fine. I suppose you just quietly continue down the path away from the cabin. That's strange. It looks like this path also leads to the cabin. How convenient. Everything's back on track again. Maybe the world can still be saved after.
Nope.
You're really keen on wasting everyone's time, aren't you? It's remarkably
We haven't done this in a
selfish,
chapter
if you
2 yet, so...
already outlined the stakes of the situation. If you don't do your job, everyone dies. Like, dies. Forever.
I don't care. I'm not killing a princess.
Killing is such a gauche phrasing and completely ignores the bigger picture. Your task is to slay the princess because she's terrible and she's really got it coming to her.
Okay.
But fine, you turn around and trek back down the path you came.
Fine. He's gonna make us work for this.
Oh, would you look at that? You're at the cabin again. Now, I'm not normally one for superstition or astrology, but I have to say, it seems like the universe itself is doing its best to bring you to your fated confrontation with the princess. He's being so infuriatingly obvious. Keep moving. Don't go in there. He's bound to break eventually.
Kinda dig paranoid being here. Guess I start walking in a different direction. Again, in fact, I'm going to just keep trekking through the wilderness until I find a way out of this place.
There's always a choice. Let me tell you right now that you're making the wrong one for pretty much everyone who's ever lived, as well as for everyone who ever will. And here we go. As you trudge into the woods, something strange starts to happen. At first, it's little flickers.
Looks like this is very similar to the Stranger.
Glimpses of familiar wooden structures through the leaves. But as you focus on your surroundings, you start to realize that those flickers weren't just a trick of light. In every direction, there is a path and a cabin.
My single function
Not just
organ is
any
spiked.
The cabin. Wait, what's going on? You're too stubborn for that, aren't you? It doesn't matter how many paths or cabins appear around you.
Okay,
You're
we
just
have
going to
seen
do
this, so
whatever
I'm
you
going to
can
gently
shirk your
move
responsibility.
forward
You've doomed us
until
all.
I see
You know that, right?
something I haven't seen
But of
before.
course you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't just wander off into. You lose track of just how long you spend aimlessly tromping through the wilderness. But it's not like any of that time spent lost in the woods really matters, because it isn't long before the world ends and everyone dies.
Huh. That was actually an ending, technically. Sailor Moon fact that is very important. Ooh. Okay. I have
You're on a path.
a potential approach here. So, we're going to silently approach.
You make your way. A warning.
We're going
Before you
to
go.
keep moving. October 22nd is Sailor Venus's birthday, and it's already tomorrow in Japan, so happy birthday, Minako. Yeah.
The
I do have the
interior
quick
of the
save.
cabin is almost a blade.
But I think with the skip, we are going
Door to
to
the
make some
basement.
slightly different decisions. So I'm going to hold on to that quick save. So we're going to talk
Don't
to
be
her.
a stranger. It's been so long since I've had any visitors. Please.
You walk down the stair.
And I think, let's see. We're going to talk to her.
Okay.
And, ooh, right, okay. So there's actually 3 choices here. Keep her locked away, retrieve the blade, examine the chains. So I think we're going to keep her locked away.
That seems like a pretty good compromise.
I don't think I could bear being down here that much longer.
Leaving her alive is too risky. If you don't deal with her soon, she will find a way out. So I'm the only one who liked that idea.
One way or another, I'm going to find a way out of here.
This is something we
It
don't
would
see
make
very
it
often.
easier for both of us if you'd help. But if you don't, I can promise that you'll regret that decision.
Yeah, I think this is
Have
what we want
to
to
make
see.
a choice. Let's hope for all our sakes it's the right one.
Okay, I think we say we locked her, or we say we're going to keep her locked up. Let's try
Can't be
examining the
serious.
chains now that she's said that.
Thank you. Thank you. You won't regret this, I promise.
You're making a huge mistake.
You don't know that.
No, I think you're doing the right thing.
You don't know that.
You walk up
I
to
don't
the
know that.
chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs. Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I think with the way everything is setting up, I'm going to do let's try this. Because I'm trying my best to figure out, like, what would... Do a quick load. And let's give up.
Are you serious?
This is what led us to the
As what's
nightmare
left of your
ending
blood
initially.
pools around you on the cobblestone floor, the blade falls from your trembling hands and clatters uselessly against the ground. I suppose you simply lacked the will to finish the job. The princess,
Ooh.
wounded but still alive, nervously jumps at the blade and kicks it far away from you before retreating into a dark corner of the room.
We haven't seen that face before, have we?
Her shining eyes watch you from the darkness, unblinking and curious as you bleed out. We can only hope the wounds you managed to inflict will be enough to at least delay her escape from this place. If we're very lucky, we'll kill her before she can reach the outside world.
After all this time alone, I thought I'd finally found a friend, but you were just another monster, weren't you?
Oh,
This is the end, isn't it?
is this
Before
it?
you can answer, everything goes black, and you die.
Oof. There it is! The last one! Oh. We did it!
On a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess.
Oh,
You're
okay.
here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world.
Ow. Let's see. And we're just going to proceed. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens.
A warning before you leave.
Bob is so good at video games. Thank you
will
for being
lie,
aware of this.
She will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says.
Like,
Does a
I'm
cat
doing my best to
lie
go by
a
instinct
cornered
here.
mouse when it plays with its freedom? Or is it just acting out its nature?
The hunted.
I don't see why that matters. A lie's a lie, and if anything, she's the one who's cornered. She
Okay.
could have gotten out of there whenever she wanted to. We should trust nothing that she tells us, only what we hear and smell.
Wow, so we are a prey species right now.
That's a very roundabout way of saying that you should listen to me and take this seriously. Maybe. The interior of the cabin is ruinous and dilapidated. It feels like no one has lived here for a long time, wind rushing in through cracks and holes in the wooden walls. The only furniture of note is a termite-eaten table with a pristine blade perched on its edge.
Wow, this really, you're right, this really is kind of tilted, huh?
The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right.
You didn't say anything about a mirror on the wall?
That's because there isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. What a strange thing to lie about. Maybe he doesn't see it.
Why would you lie about that? What's the point?
Exactly. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would a mirror even do? That you waste time preening yourself instead of doing what needs to be done.
Approach the mirror, of course.
You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. This really isn't funny. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now.
Yeah, I think the Beast is one of those where you were just constantly waffling. There's a couple of endings like that, and that one, we keep going back and forth. So I think that one is very natural. Like, I'll talk more about it in a bit.
But it was there a second ago. And now it's gone.
Take the blade.
You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
The player avatar is a crow. Does that make the princess a cat? With everything that we've seen, I feel like that's a natural conclusion. So, cats will be cats and cats eat birds. Like, we've got the curious cats, we've got the big mountain lions, we've got
The door to the basement creaks open, revealing
The
what's
weird
left of an
cats
old
that defy
wooden
physics.
staircase. It's still sturdy enough that you can make your way down in one piece, though you'll have to be mindful of holes.
Ooh.
The air seeping up from below is oddly warm and wet, as if you're descending into a jungle. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. She growls up the stairs.
I can smell you.
She sounds almost feral.
And it looks like we're also underground. Like, this is a cabin built into the mountainside or
Impatient.
something.
Or maybe eager. You carefully make your way down the stairs. The last step gives way to the damp earth floor of a starlit pit. The walls are obscured by an impenetrable darkness, giving the illusion that the room might stretch on forever. You brush against the wide leaves of plants that surround you on all sides, seemingly the only living things that occupy this strange underground wilderness. The jungle is pressing in on us, hiding her from view. She could be anywhere. A chain rattles in the underbrush, and as its links drag across the floor, you see pieces of her move in and out of the shadows. Remember, she's just a princess.
Yeah, there's nothing just about this situation, huh?
She's certainly not just a princess. You're not helping. It doesn't matter what she is. It only matters what she does. She emerges, her shining eyes and glistening claws visible in the gloom, staring hungrily at you from the darkness.
I can hear your heart pounding from the bottom of the stairs, fledgling. You're right to be terrified. I'm so much more than you. And a little splinter clutched in trembling hands won't save you from me.
Oh, that's good. We don't even get to see her. Interesting. Roll for initiative. Oh my god. Hot? Dang. Oh, that was basically every ending. I think we still have like an achievement left, but oh my god, that was so neat. The beast looked a lot like how the witch does now in the original version. They split all the sexy furry bits off into the witch and left a question mark for the beast. I guess on Monday we'll be able to see more of them. But hey, guess what? We've got something special now that we have done all of that. Would anybody like to enjoy a little bit of Tier Maker? Just for the heck of it. So at the suggestion of the chat, which has great taste, we're going to play around with just a little bit. I'm also like getting it set up properly because I want to make sure everything goes well. So let's, boom. Hey, there we are. Look at that. So this was given by Kat. Kat helped find this. And so now we're going to have some fun. I'm just gonna real quick. There we go. Just had to change that real quick. I like how Tower is the first one, so we can get that one out of the way. Oh man. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. We're going to start with the princesses, and then we're going to do the voices. Each time, we are going to reevaluate so that we can readjust, reevaluate everything, figure out which one we want to go with. And look at that. Oh, Tier Maker lets us sort things. That's great. Okay. I have the old demo version of a stranger where she looked more like a Muppet. Yeah, that's very different. But it still kind of gets the same vibe across. So, Tower, I think... So, there are 11 princesses, including the princess on her own, which I'm actually going to save for last. Tower, I think, is at least A tier. You know? Oh, but you know what? We should figure out how do we want to evaluate these? Because I don't think the ones we want to save are the ones, like, we don't want to evaluate on how we say, like, which ones we want to save. We don't necessarily want to evaluate it based on strictly which one is the hottest, which one we want stepping on us, or anything like that. We're just going to go for the ones with the biggest damn effect. So we are going to go for emotional impact. How about that? This can include, quote unquote, smashability. This can include the fear of threat. It can just include fear. It can include horniness. It can include all sorts of stuff. Hi, Lindsay. Make you hate that to be continued. You know what, Judge? I think that's a great assessment. So, to be continued hatred or emotional impact, we're going to go with that. So, we're starting with Tower, which I think needs to at least be A. While we talk about it, I'm going to just put her in A because I think we're going to bump her up to S. Tower is interesting because that one has more control than the narrator. Tower is able to completely mess us up just by saying something. She's able to make us kneel on command. She's able to make us drop our knife on command. She is the one that I believe is the most simpable. So I'm kind of the vibe that this one, just for the fact that she seems to have power equitable to the narrator, that's terrifying. That is utterly, fundamentally terrifying. And so she goes into S. And I don't think there's anything to evaluate that other than, like, no, there are so many ways we can rate her, but there are just too many things where she's just top of the chart. That huge incensed stairway where we have to shimmy down, but we're still above ground because there's a window with starlight coming in. Exactly. Change goddess. Definitely got a lot of intrigue and horror factor underneath the simpability. Yeah. Next up, we've got the Adversary. Now, the Adversary was the first one we actually came across. And this one is the Fight Princess. This is the one that punches. This is the one that will throw down. She's got cloven feet. She's got, I think, horns. She is ready for a brawl. She's got a bit more beef to her than any other princess, which, for me personally, puts her up pretty high. By default, buff princess gets an A. You don't smash her, she smashes you. Exactly. Now, if I were to bring her down lower, I don't think I could, because the to be continued factor makes me just go like, you know what? I need to know what she's going to do. I need to know what the Power Princess is going to do. I would say the fact that she was so easy to get to might temper her at A, but I also feel like that's a bad way to rate it. So I think overall, you need to beat her in a first of 5 to get her lower than an A. Most of my love for this one is shoulders. Shoulders are very good. We could put her in S for shoulders, but I also know that for me, most of these would be S if I were to rate it by default, because I love almost every single one of these. But in terms of emotional impact, her simpability puts her high, but in terms of like what I want to see her do, she would go lower. Now, a D in this case, in any of these cases, is more like a B. We are just spreading it out. We are making use of all of these voices. So, in terms of relativity, Adversary, middle of the road. Great. There is no bottom of the barrel. The worst is still great. The worst is still, I want to see what happens. But the Adversary, I want to put as B, just for now, to kind of establish a middle ground. That way we can kind of build around that. So Temporarily, B. Cool? Yeah, okay. Now, we've got the Spectre. I love a ghost girl, and I love a zombie girl, and I love a girl who will come back from the dead to destroy you. Love them. There are a couple that I think really suit this need. I think the Spectre is one that comes back explicitly from the dead. Worst is I want to see what happens. Best is beam the story into my mind's eye. Pretty much. I think that's a good way to settle it. Marnie wants in bed, so we're gonna let her do it. Incidentally, Spectre's Hiya Killer is Nicole's sub-notification sound on her Twitch channel. Oh my god. That's really good. Nicole Goodnight just smashed this whole game. Like, I think she did an absolutely amazing job. Jonathan Sims also did a fantastic job as the narrator in the various voices, but Nicole Goodnight does get, like, so much here. So I think the Spectre has probably... I have two characters in mind, two princesses in mind that I would put at lowest to be continued factor. I think the Spectre is a great end result. I think I would be fine if I didn't see the follow-up for it. That doesn't mean I don't want to see it, but I think that would put her at C only because, like, I would sooner expect this to be an end game, right? But Kat brings up a really interesting point. Also shows that not even the time loops are what they seem because we came back, but she didn't. Which puts her, I think, above the adversary just for what it means for the story. How is it that these can be time loops, but she's able to come back to life? She does not, like, she's dead. She is donezo and then returns anyway. That's a big deal. And she's still not alive. She just returns. Adversary is great to look at and a delightful personality. Oh, Lord, yes. But the compelling urge to make a corkboard with string that the tower does isn't there as much because she's uncomplicated. Yeah, I would say that's really interesting. It's like a nice, simple forward. I love pranking streamers by asking Smash or Pass when they just see her corpse. They're like, pass, dude. And their head pops up and they're like, wait, Smash. And then the close-up happens. They're like, go like, wait, no, go back. There are very few I wouldn't just be Smash. Smash Pash. Prisoner. I would say, okay, by default, I would put her in C because this one doesn't quite hit me in memory as easily as some of these others. But having said that, Prisoner's kind of interesting because she's... this is the one who you start out as aggressive, you decide you want to kill her, but you decide to change your mind. Prisoner is B for bondage. Shit, I'm almost committed to that. So, Prisoner is kind of like Adversary, where it's very middle of the road in that
Someone is coming.
you try to help her. You try to help the most aggressive. You try to help the one that's super assertive, and it doesn't work out. You try to get on her good side, and it doesn't work out. And so you come up to her, and she's the one who's seen some shit. She knows what happens when people try to help her. She knows what happens when she's able to convince people to help her in her most assertive state, and it still doesn't work. Ooh. We've got a cat. And you know what? That actually reminds me. We've got a few pictures that Nepicros has shared. So, here's a cat. Very good. The bird watching. Here is the example of the goose. So we're going to go back into, like, featuring some blood. Hopefully nobody minds. But there's the goose. So, as you can see, like, it's it's a little hard to tell. You look at the claw of the hand, you can see the goose just kind of wrapping around. And then there is a follow-up that is also very good. I just wanted to make sure we shared that, because it's very good. It's so good. It's so very good. And thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Let's catch up with chat. All the other princesses have other shit they're prioritizing. Yeah. I put the prisoner way up high because that's the one whose fight scene stuck in my head. I feel like we saw the most of who she might have been. Ooh. That's an interesting assessment. I believe that how the hero sees them affects how they look. We know he killed her and walked away, technically, for as much of a force in the story as her or the narrator. Which brings up some interesting points I would love to bring up as we're going through this. Lindsay says, oh, you know I will always show off that puss. That's one thing I know about you, Lindsay. You will drop everything to show puss when you can. Rose says, like, she knows how to slit a throat, and she does it because she can see you trying to help, even when she's not batting her eyelashes at you. Yeah, no matter what. Nipicro says, I think we change the princess based on what we think of her, and the princess changes to us based on what she thinks of us. She changes visually, we change in different ways. The voice, yes, exactly. So if each voice is given to us by the princess, where did the voice of the hero come from? Yeah, see, this is kind of where I've been at with the game, is that, I mean, of course, maybe, possibly, we'll find out later, but the princess and the main character seem to be two... The princess, the main character, and the narrator seem to be three forces going on. Maybe not even the main character. It might be a battle between the narrator and the princess, just constantly battling for reality, battling for some semblance of reality. And we're just a manifestation of that. Like, we don't actually have that much control. We can choose things, but the world keeps shifting and changing, whether or not that's based on what we choose or the world responding to what we choose to try and convince us to go in the opposite direction. Prisoner is the one where we're cautious, but when we have the chance, we make the choice to be kind every time, even as it gets hard. Yeah. But I think that's why I really like this game so far, is that it's hard to, like, say anything is just one given way. It makes me think that the full release, as Kat said, Monday can't come soon enough. It makes me think that the full release might not answer a damn thing, but will keep making us think in ways that are, oh, terrifying. The Beast. So I'm keeping the prisoner here. I think Crow mentioned something that made me want to put her in A, but I'm going to stick that there for now. The Beast? I feel like it's kind of like the adversary where we get beaten up, but without the aesthetic appeal. Like, we didn't even get to see her. We do get enough of a bump up just because I want to know what she looks like. But it's like, C for creature, you know? I have a hard time rating the Beast because we have so little to work off of. And the ending definitely seems like someone is deliberately avoiding the last loop because, okay, well, you can cut her hands off. Are you going to cut her head off? Suck on that, numbnuts. I'm actually okay with 5 tiers for now. Like, I think Tier Maker occasionally does a lot. A lot more than it needs to. And sometimes they just sort of phone it in, but I'm okay with S through D for now because there's no F tier. And that makes me happy. So the Beast is kind of low on the scale, not because she isn't interesting, but because I don't know what to expect. And the to be continued factor is, well, I don't know where it's going to go. But at the same time, I think for now, though, we're going to move on. Beast is fascinating as a counterpart to the tower, looking at her as a dangerous beast rather than an overwhelming force. Ooh. That... Yeah, let's bump her up based on that. And let's bump up the prisoner based on the statement Crow made earlier. Her going feral after a betrayal is interesting. It is. Then we have Razor. Razor is interesting because this is the one that is like the most violent. That is a blade coming out of her arm. This is arguably, depending on how you value the beast, the most savage. This is the one that is designed only for killing. She's ready to fight. She's ready for blood. She's ready for ripping and tearing until it is done. Go by princess pairs, it seems Witch and Beast are a pair. Manipulate. Interesting. Witch and Beast. Yeah, they would be. They're very similar. Like, the Beast might end up just being a more horrifying version of the Witch, in which case, let's go after the Witch real quick. I think the Witch does occupy the exact same space in my head as the Beast. The Witch is something that has a lot of feral qualities, but seems to be a lot more tempered. This is a creature that... well, let me think. This is one of the betrayals. Where we think that we go downstairs without the knife and we try to help her, and then we decide to betray her. But we have a little bit more information about her just from seeing her, so it's going to be interesting seeing how this one plays out. So I don't know. I'm putting her in C temporarily. Then we have Razor. Razor is fun. I can imagine a lot of feints and I know further along her route. Yeah. Is she pretending to be human all along and just shedding the guise, or is she really trying to be human, but she's been so dehumanized that when she's threatened, she immediately lapses to protect herself? I mean, she's a very reactive individual. Depending on who is defining reality, whether we get to define it ourselves or whether it's defined for us. This is a person who can shape herself based on her needs. And so this one is all about violence. This one rips and tears. And so for me, I feel like I have a better idea for her of what's going to happen. We're going to get ripped to shreds. So the to be continued factor is a bit lower. But I am interested, and I love pointy, horrific, violent creature. So B or C kind of fits up there. Then we have Stranger, which this isn't an accurate portrait, but you took the first opportunity to stab her and committed. Yeah. Every princess's tiara is different. Yes, that's also a very good detail. The razors is shards of glass or knives. Ooh, that is kind of cool. So the only reason I don't have a to be continued factor for Stranger is because I'm terrified to know what that's going to be. I'd put her at least in B. S for Stranger, she was nice. But at the same time, her ability to just really bend reality, I'm a sucker for. I am 100% all about characters who... Okay. Tower and Stranger both occupy a very interesting area where they can bend reality to their whims. Like, the Stranger is the most unsettling. The Stranger is just a collapsed waveform of the princesses of all those cabins. Yep. And the Stranger's voice is very interesting. The Little Things sing-song quality. It's so good. So I would say... I'd say the Stranger has to be S, even though I am terrified of what's going to come next. Then we have Nightmare. And unfortunately, this checks off a lot of boxes for me. Just... Yes. I don't even have any reason. Like, Nightmare, I think, is actually my favorite. And I love a lot of these. Is she shaping the reality or the end result of being shaped by reality? God. So, I think we've gotten the ones that bend reality the most up at the top. So I think we know my bias. Sleep paralysis, Demon GF is an unexplored genre. Oh, you know, I know somebody who made a comic all about that. Hatter's Art, who you can find on Twitch and on elsewhere, has a sleep paralysis comic out there. Damsel? Okay. This is the one I am legitimately the least interested in because this doesn't check off any real boxes for me. I would put her somewhere in C or D just because, like, she's interesting, but this is my bottom line. Like, I would only put her in D just because I don't really know what to expect, and that's a sort of way that makes me kind of go, I don't know if I want to know more. The damsel is interesting. Like, don't get it twisted. This is the one that is demure, passive. She's the kindest one. Damsel throws you off. Is she faking it? Yeah, and I would even bump her up for that. But if somebody has to be D, it would be her. Because I think the princess herself, the damsel is just here to get rescued. We made a plot that removed her ferocity and agency, and that's, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, there's no aggression. She's just very toned down. That's real scary, but not for us. In which case, I think you just made a case for the damsel being one of the more interesting ones. Because the damsel is also the one that shows how much power we technically have. But it also might be an example of how much power she has, because she can morph herself into that role. Stabs adorably. Sorry. And then we have the princess herself. This is the default state. Now, she goes a bunch of different ways. So she's right about here because she's assertive and she's helpless, but she's always capable of changing at the drop of a hat. This is the most unreliable out of all of them, as far as I've been able to tell. The damsel may be the most unreliable, but the princess is like, you don't know where she's going to go. You don't know if she's gonna have your back. She's ready to fight, but she's also ready to, like, play with your heartstrings. And she does so in a way that's very interesting, where she's not trying to mess with you, but she knows the score between everyone. She knows that, like, you have no reason to trust her, but also she has no reason to trust. We have no reason to trust the narrator, and she has no reason to trust even her own assessment of things. It's strange. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to that, Nepicros. We're gonna look at that later. If you're doing this at home, by all means, go ahead and, like, post your results. But for now, so I think overall, this is kind of where we're at. So let's go back over these and go through from left to right, top to bottom. Damsel for me reads as Majima in Yakuza 0. He's had most of his hisness scraped out like cat food, presenting a more broadly consumable and palatable version of himself, with the difference being, did we do that to her? Did she do it to herself? Did we both? That's a really interesting point. I think the unreliability of these characters, the fact that they can change and be manipulated in all sorts of different ways, is what makes them very interesting, you know? I'm gonna try zooming in because I don't want that save or download popping up. So let's start. Tower, correct. Stranger, correct. Nightmare, correct. I am accepting no arguments for that. A and below, we're going to discuss. Spectre is pretty up there. I would say that Spectre doesn't have a lot that I remember apart from being cool looking. I love a ghoul. I love a Spectre. I love a zombie. I'm into it. But I don't... They're saying the damsel is the lady of the night. Wait. I would actually put Spectre a little bit lower now that we kind of have a base spread. Because while I love her design, while I love her implication, there's nothing that's making me going, what happens next? Because she doesn't stick out in my mind for what she is as much as some of the others. Prisoner, the implication here is, I think, more than interesting enough to lock her in place. And I would say Razor. I love. If I were going solely on designs, most of these would be up in A or S. So I can't do that. If I were going on all factors, I want to see Razor more. I want to see more of Razor. But the interest level in what she's going to do is a bit lower. Quite a bit. So this is not attractiveness. This is not the one I love the most. This is not an assessment of her personality. This is not an assessment of her design. It's just, we're going to get murdered by her. It's going to be fun. But I kind of have a guess as to what's going to happen. So, we love you, Razor. We love all of you. Damsel less so. Maybe. Unless you're a big liar, in which case I weirdly love you more. Don't question that. Don't. Razor is at least most likely to be helpful because she's one of the two princesses not trying to kill us. Yeah, like, I want to know what she's going to do. She's got the insight I am most interested in. I enjoy how Tower, Stranger, and Nightmare are getting closer to the camera in that order. Love a point in the damsel's route where she stops being just kind of an agreeable yes man and something is breaking through because, wait, no, I don't want any of this. Who was I? How did this happen? I like that. Okay, so, adversary. I think a lot of my arguments, even though she's probably my favorite regular design, humanoid design, I would only be interested in the fight. The fight itself is very good. But again, if this were just design, she'd probably be S tier. But I think overall, she has less of an effect narratively and emotionally for me than some of these others. I do think Beast and Witch are kind of right in there. They're exactly where they need to be. Because I think these two sort of represent the sides of the character that respond to harm. These are two that have some of the deepest wounds. The Witch and the Beast, like, Nightmare and Tower are betrayal routes, but Beast and Witch are also betrayal routes, and I think those are the ones that really get me in terms of like, oh, this is a side of the princess that feels like anyone could fall into these routes. Maybe not physically, but roughly equal footing to us, so she has to resort to trickery to win. The Beast is strictly a superior predator. Yeah. More interested in the Beast than the Witch, but I am interested in them both. Yeah, like, they are still solidly B tier. Because I want to know. They don't stand out, like, they kind of sit in the same territory as the Spectre, where I love the designs, I love the idea, but it's like, as fun as they are, there could be more. I think the hook is relying a lot on the visual, but the narrative of them, even though the characters are really interesting, there are better hooks in the game. These hooks aren't bad, but there are better. And then we get to the last two, the princess and the damsel. Fraser and Adversary look like a quirky mini-boss squad next to each other, right? Fraser and Adversary, just two beat-em-up characters. The princess, I think we've kind of upgraded to be because, like, by default, we don't know who she is. My soul is leaving my body with this remix. Yeah, there's such good remixes. This is Outer Wilds, and hey, y'all should play Outer Wilds if you haven't. It's fantastic. It is so utterly divine. The princess, at a base level, I want to know where else this character goes. I want to know who she is. I want to know what the hell she's about. So I think she becomes middle of the road solely because she has the most potential. Who was she? Is that a question we're ever going to get answered? Who is she going to become? The fact that she is so responsive, so reactive compared to so many others puts her in this territory really well. I want to know what her favorite Metal Gear Solid is. Oh God. 2. It's got to be 2. Hope we get more baseline princess routes somehow. Yeah, like sort of she's the Eevee before we buy evolution stones. I love that massive potential that can't be realized until she changes. And then we have the damsel, which I think can go depending on how she goes. She's either D tier or she's S tier. Because I love a simpering character who reveals that they know exactly what's going on and they know exactly what they're doing. But I don't know if that's the case, and I don't feel like this is definitely that character. I feel like with what we have, this is the one that I have a hard time not letting my guard down around. Might be the most dangerous. Imagine if she's so committed to the LARP that she bends reality to be more Disney. Oh God. I mean, all of these bend reality in some way, but this is the one that's going to be the most shocking if she ends up being terrifying. But if you can't pull out the tailspin, that is the damsel's ooh aura, and we become ooh ourselves. We become cringe. Yeah, I think she's the baseline because she puts my defenses down, and I am putting my defenses up only because of the rest of these. If I played the first time and I exclusively got her, I would be in the position of, I don't really see her being a problem. But if we play her at the end, she goes way higher. So I think for now, because we got her so early, because this is where I would normally go starting out, damsel is low tier just because there might be something going on, but without the context of the other playthroughs, she's not that scary. She's interesting enough to want to help her, but I don't know. She's kind of like an ace, where she can either be the lowest or the highest value card. So she is in D only because we are very aware that she could be S. So that's where I'm putting her. She is D tier just because I am fully aware that she could change that in a second. So this is my assessment. We've also got another assessment from Nepicros, where I think we've got some similar stuff here. Yeah, damsel, so soft looking. So these are different. Like, these have different names. Tag, you're dead. Nightmare. Naturally. You can't handle her close up. You don't deserve her far away. Spectre. Solid. Love it. Deadfish stare got me acting up, I swear to God. Prisoner and princess. I love the deadfish stare. Nipikos, you're going to be very comfortable here because this is the shit I love. I love tired eyes. I love eyes that stare deep into your soul and find nothing. Will literally kill me. Yeah, perfect. Great setup. Love it. A+ tier maker. But overall, I think this is a pretty solid assessment. I think we're good. You're gonna fit it right in, yeah. Okay, so now we got the voices. Oh, thank you for the follow. We're going to start off with Voice of the Hero. Because I think this one is like the best one to start with. And we've also got the voice of a narrator who I'm going to save for last. But Voice of the Hero, I think he's kind of interesting for how reactive he is, because you don't know which side he's going to go with, but he will commit. Voice of the Hero is legitimately fascinating as one of our voices. We don't know whose side he's necessarily on other than ours. He will commit to the bit. If things change, he will be like, you know what? Okay, fine, we're doing this. He is a ride or die. And so he cannot go below A for me. Voice of a Smitten is going to get us into a lot of problems. Emotionally, he's S. Functionally, he's D. He's so opposed to killing her right up until you put your foot down. It's great. Yeah, he's kind of like, he's our commitment level. Trying to do what he thinks is best, or at least justify it. Smitten is the biggest simp. Either S or D, and I think functionally D, because this is the one that's going to get us in the most trouble. Voice of the Hunted. Voice of the Smitten is very... Smitten, bro, I get you, but not now. Exactly. See, that's the problem, is because I kind of agree with Smitten. He's also the one that is like, very like, my princess. He's the one who's going to be the most like Lord Byron, which is why I put him in D tier, because this dude's corny as hell and is going to shout it from the rooftops. I like him a lot because he genuinely seems like a guy who wants to do the right thing, the hero, by us, not just because he's been told to, but because we're here in this together, so we have to stick together. Yeah. Exactly. I think that's a solid assessment. Voice of the Hunted is going to have our backs, is going to try and protect us, will try to steer us from the wrong choice, but is not going to be assertive. This is our anxiety. This is somebody who has been hurt, who can be hurt, who is very easily killable. And so this is one of the ones I would like to have at my back. But like, not going to be that helpful. And we're kind of rating the voices based on how much they help us through all this, how much they're going to cause problems for us. Voice of the Broken is kind of a similar situation. He's going to get us in trouble. He wants to submit so bad it makes him look stupid. And he falls into this simping quality. Simping and simpering. I mentioned it last time, but I remember reading that when he got the Smitten's lines, his reaction was, oh, I'm going full Matt Berry for this. Oh, that's very good. Hunted is like, ooh, she's so much more than us, but he is ready to make a fight of it if there's no other option, which I love. I love that. Voice of the Stubborn is okay. Voice of the Stubborn is very similar to Voice of the Contrarian, but worse. I'm putting him in C tier because Stubborn, I think, is very committed to the bit. I love it. But he's not going to be useful. Yeah, Nepicros got it right. Stubborn is somebody who, he does not want to do this. He does not want to be here. He wants out, and you know what? He is going to fight every opportunity to do what we are quote unquote supposed to do. I love a coward who is still ready to fight like a bastard in the corner, which is why the hunted is not going below B. I would even sooner put him in A in our reevaluation. Voice of the Contrarian. S. Why? Because he's such a prick to the narrator. The Contrarian is not helpful, is not effective, does not serve any utility, but the Contrarian tilts the narrator worse than anyone. And this is kind of similar to the power of Tower, Stranger, and Nightmare. The voice of a Contrarian. Sling your knife out the window. Yes. The voice of the Contrarian is the one that is going to cause the most damage. The voice of the Contrarian is the one that's going to change the course of the game solely because he does not like being told what to do. And there is beauty in that. Contrarian is one of the few that can possibly break out of the narrator's rules. He threw the knife out the window and the narrator was molting and we stand, S for stand. Yeah, Contrarian is just top tier. Like, he may not be useful at all, but he is useful in pissing the narrator off, and that's beautiful. The Opportunist is easily the most useful. The Opportunist is going to look for every possibility to make use of things, and is one of the few that the hero is like, you know what? I kind of like this guy. Or maybe not necessarily like him, but he's definitely like, this is the guy we want, so that we know what our options are. The Opportunist is going to look for anything that will help himself. Kind of the opposite of the Contrarian, where the Contrarian is going to look for every option that pisses off the narrator. The Opportunist is going to do everything he can to make sure that we always have some sort of advantage. Fun fact, if you don't throw the knife and take it with you to meet the stranger, he's all, oh wow, good thing we didn't do anything dumb like throwing our weapon away, huh? So he's also a bastard. The most fun to have around, and you know what? Fun trumps everything. Voice of the Skeptic, though. Broken is so strange because he hates being here. He's so shattered and hopeless, but he still feels tied to the tower. To the point where once you get closer, he doesn't feel like he can escape, and his voice feels like her voice. Ooh. That is an actually interesting take. I kind of want to see where the Broken goes, so I might bump him up, but he's still going to get us in trouble. Not as fun as Contrarian, so I put him in A. Yeah, the Skeptic is the one that I think I most relate to. Skeptic and Prisoner combined feel unstoppable, even though she's more chained up somehow. Yeah, the Skeptic is going to do its best to keep us safe. That's our anxiety in terms of, like, not taking things at face value, which is really important. We need the Skeptic. The Skeptic does not get rated low. Even without factoring the voice, the Skeptic as an idea is really important, and the Skeptic in the game is really helpful. He is very much just like constantly looking for things to question, not necessarily argue, but he's the one that's going to give us more opportunities to poke holes everywhere. He doesn't fight with the hero. He doesn't bother with the narrator. He says wink out loud. Right. He is the one that does that, isn't he? Is he? I love that. So he's got a little bit of that in between of the Opportunist and the Contrarian, but he's much more aligned with the hero. He's like, he wants to help us. Cold is already checked out. No bueno. Yeah, the Cold, I love characters like this, but I think he's going to be more of a liability, along with the Smitten and the Broken. He's got a lot going on under the hood. He's very dead inside. And that's fair. But we need help, and if we can't get help, we need utility. And if we can't get utility, we need fun. And he's none of that. He's a bummer. He's a very interesting bummer, but a bummer nonetheless. Sniffing every little corner for what is this? He's solving the Monkey Island puzzle by trying everything on everything. Yeah. Oh. The voice of the Flinching is a bit simpering, but the thing I like about the Flinching is that if he sees something that feels like a good opportunity, he will rise up to try and meet the challenge. So he's not D. He's not a complete liability. The flinching is somebody who's willing, but has to fight his fear so much. And so I think the flinching is kind of like the stubborn. There's value, but he's difficult. Flinching at least feels sensible. The razor is a threat to match. Yeah, I think the flinching is somebody who'd naturally be right here. Also, I kind of love how some of these really do fit. You know what I mean? Like, we've got an interesting tear maker here. Cold killed somebody who wasn't fighting back, and then killed himself like he has nothing left. Oh, hey, she's dead again. Well, right, somebody who just like shut down when they finally committed to the bit. Flinching is the critter who saw the hunted get pounced on and devoured and knows that he still needs to make it to the other side of that meadow somehow. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves before this is over. Exactly. Voice of the paranoid. I can kind of put him in B because, well, no. I think he's somewhere from B to D. Voice of the paranoid, I didn't get a lot of vibe from, but paranoia is like an extreme version of skepticism where you're hearing voices, you're seeing people in the trees, paranoid pays a lot more attention. You never mentioned the eyes. It's true. Paranoid is going to ask even more questions than the skeptic. Is going to come up with more interesting conclusions compared to the skeptic. Kind of a liability because paranoia can really trip you up. But paranoia in this case is often justified. And paranoia kind of fits around here where paranoia is going to be very responsive to what's going on. The very last route with the multiplying cabins with the paranoid along really warmed me on, I'm not gonna lie. Something not paranoid if you know they're out to get you. You know what? I think those combined, I hate to say it, S tier. You gotta know crazy to combat crazy. So I think paranoia is perfectly fitting here. This might be the guy we need when things get really reality broken. And then we have the narrator. The narrator is interesting because I felt a constant compulsion to fight the narrator every single step of the way. There was never a moment where I wasn't like, fuck this. You know what I mean? And as fun as it is to just be combative with the narrator, let's see if I can zoom this in just right so we don't see anything above or below. Yeah, this looks good. The narrator is not on our side. They see us as a liability and therefore, yeah. I do appreciate how little control he seems to have over things and how much it clearly pisses him the fuck off. Yeah, he keeps trying to jump in and be like, let me do it. But it never works out as well as he needs it to. And I think that's what's interesting about him is that we don't know how much power he has. And he's clearly desperate, but why? So putting him in D seems wrong. Like, I would sooner put him in C because I want to know what the hell he's about. But I think I'll put him in D tier because I think he serves a similar purpose to the damsel. In that, the damsel makes me feel like I should drop my guard. The narrator makes me feel like I need to keep my guard up at all times. The narrator might actually be a good guy, might be desperate, might be doing everything he can to ensure that this happens. He also might not be privy to what's going on in front of us. If the narrator can't remember time loops, he can be manipulated. Yeah, what we don't know makes him more interesting, so I kind of consider him an ace. much like the damsel. We don't know what he knows. We don't know what he's aware of. He may simply believe that there is no mirror. And if that's true, I think he's very interesting. Because he only sees one side of the game. He sees the princess, he sees us, he sees the cabin. That's all he can see. Or he sees everything and he's lying. I gave you an ending of literally eternal bliss. I drew you an ending card. Right. So that's kind of my assessment. Narrator is an ace. He's going to fit with the damsel in that he could be a major liability. Or he could be the only person who knows what's going on and sees reality. And the reality we're seeing is constantly being twisted. It's flipping through his manual. It's keep talking and nobody explodes. So I think looking over this, as much as I want to reevaluate the voices, I think they fit. I think all of these kind of fit with the princesses that they share a tier with. These are all just like, there's something about it that worked for me. Didn't we mention he might not know what we look like? Yeah, I don't think he knows. Talks about how he can only narrate the events, but I think he means he only has like a guide of stuff. Like he's reading from a book that is getting written as you advance, not through your eyes or any presence. Yeah, like my guard is up around him, but like the damsel, I don't know that that should be the case. Like the damsel, I want to know where it goes. If he turns out to not be what I suspect him to be. I want to know where the damsel goes, if she turns out to not be what I expect her to be. His value changes immediately based on very specific information that we don't have yet. And that's interesting to me. I kind of don't really want to fuss with this. I'm looking over this. The Contrarian, S tier. Paranoid, S tier. Perfectly placed. Hero, Opportunist, and Skeptic are the ones I want at my back. These are the ones that are the most helpful. Voice of the Hunted is kind of in the middle. It's going to keep us from dying, which is useful, but won't actually help us solve the problem. The Stubborn and the Flinching, they're going to try and get us out of here. They're going to try and avoid pain. They're not going to be that helpful, but when it comes down to it, they are going to have our backs. And then you have these who are just either liabilities or there's something we don't know. He feels like he's ad-libbing, but is also a salaried employee. I like that. I think that's everything. So I really like this. I'm going to capture this for myself and like post it up on my Blue Sky just for the record, just so we have a tier maker. Well, actually, maybe I'll just hold on to it. Privately. And whenever people want it, I'll just link it. But yeah. That was Slay the Princess, the demo. The full game should be out Monday, barring any catastrophe or complication. It's from Black Tabby Games. They are also developing Scarlet Hollow. I will be avoiding streaming this during its opening month. Just because like I'm making a personal rule of not streaming any indie game that is in its opening week, just so people get more of an interest. Like I am playing this now, but I will be playing it privately. I am going to absolutely be there. And after the month is over, I may just like make a special sequence just for indie games that I want to play and catch up on. So if that happens, be sure to check the schedule and I'll let y'all know. I'm always reevaluating my future schedule. But I am imploring people to check this out. Play it when it comes out this Monday. Because oh my god. This demo just floored me. The early reviews are fantastic. This is one of my most looked forward to games this year, and the demo did a lot of that. Also, check out Scarlet Hollow. But thank you all for coming. I've been Robin at Andrewjack without a C, and will continue to be so for the foreseeable future. I no longer have to do a lot of stuff to satisfy the outro, but you know, VODs are available maybe in perpetuity thanks to the highlights. You can also find old VODs on youtube.com/@Andrewjack. If you want to support the channel, followers and subscribers get exclusive access to emotes, and you can click the notification bell to know when I go live. Outside of that, thank you all for coming. Get hydrated, get vaccinated, get masked up. Be good, be safe, be awesome. Be gone. Bye.